We knew all these children were dead, but we used to pretend for just to show them some respect. We used to do the ultrasound, we used to call fast, looking for heart rates. Later on we realized some weapons like thermobaric weapons were used. This sucks out oxygen from the neighborhood. So a child can't stand a weapon that's strong, sucking out the oxygen out of your lungs, that pulverizes your organs inside. So they die instantly. That's why they never had any external wounds. And they are not counted as casualties. Usually when patients who we operate, they die the next day from intensive care and nobody get to claim the body, they get counted, they go to the morgue. Most of these children and women, they come and die. The family take them and bury them. There's no documentation, no computers, nobody checking anything. So finally we need to know the truth. Out of 2.1 million Palestinians who existed there on October 6th, at least 1/3 might have been killed. That is per Lancet. Some of the American medical journals have estimated over 680,000 people might have been killed so far. Even that could be an undercount. I'll let John do the next talking.
I want to ask you, get your question just 1 second. I want to make sure you understand the scale and scope of what's going on, and thank you very much for having us this evening. If I told you all right now, you've got 1/2 hour to pack up and get ready to walk to Hyde Park, that's what these people have been told to do. 3, 4, 5 times. Go home. Go home and figure who you're going to bring. How are old-timers like me going to make it down? Who's going, who isn't? And it's not down Lakeshore Drive. It is in a crowded, bombed-out area. Down to nowhere. Not like you know where you're going. You're going to nowhere. Second thing I'd like to think about is having not taken a real shower since October of 2023. Not having your clothes washed, really, since 2023. Being a young woman, 14 years old on the monarchy, and not having any sanitary napkins. Being a young woman stuck where you don't know where and having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Schools this size, Chandra was there, something this size had 12,000 people in it in October, with all the bathrooms that something this size has. That's what these folks are living through. The bombs that are described, these pictures of the horrible torture, the Israeli forces will deny all of it. That was the last slide. It was necessary to be in there. I don't have the least bit of a doubt. Put it this way, a hospital that's supposedly, that they're worried about having hostages in, is surrounded for 1 week before it's attacked. 1 week. And then it's blowing up and nothing's found. If there were really, if the concern was hostages and tunnels and all this stuff, one would invade much quicker, but I'm not a military tactician, so I really don't know that. But let me ask one other question, and we'll take questions from the audience. And thank you, Chandra, for... I'm not a surgeon, I'm an old pediatrician. I was there to set up a nutrition stabilization center, and as one of the co-founders of the organization, to open our first primary health center. And by the way, you saw the pictures in the beginning of Shifa Hospital. Our country director was one of the last medical personnel out of there and walked like everybody else from the south to the north, and like everybody else, what she did when she got to Rafah from Gaza, she set up our program. She worked. We had colleagues, Palestinian colleagues, that were captured, stripped, embarrassed, interrogated, let go after 17 days, in their underwear, at the border. They came back. You know what they did? They found scrubs and went back to work. That's what they did. Remember, all of the patients are also professional. The professional doctors also are patients. And that story that God bless him, whatever the doctor's name was, that saw his daughter being brought in, that's told 100 times. Chandra knows people like this. That story is over and over and over again. You get a call, you run to your home to see if your family's been killed. If so, you deal with it. If not, you come back to work. Let me ask one question. There was a gentleman in the back with a question, and we'll take questions. And I want to, before we're done, talk a little bit about Dr. Hassan Abu Safia. But we'll do that a little bit later on. Let me ask one question. Who knows who Elan Kurdi was? Elan Kurdi. Elan, E-L-A-N, Kurdi, K-U-R-D-Y. Who knows who he was? Anybody? Anybody? No? Every single person in this room, and the reason I bring it up is because in 1 year, you won't remember one name that was on it, even if you do now. Who knows who Hindra Jat was? Yeah, people know her, right? In 1 year, most people won't. Elan Kurdi was a little boy, 3-year-old boy in a red shirt, face down in the sand. In Turkey, everybody knows who he was. He was going to change. He was above the goddamn fold on the New York Times for 1 week every single day, and the world was aghast at what happened to him. No one knows who he was now. You know how much it moved the needle? Immorality, 0 degrees. 0 degrees. We can advocate. Chandra goes to Washington with various colleagues and advocates, goes into the representatives' offices, and the representatives, all the 22-year-old little graduates, are all sitting there with their 8x11 pad, writing down every single solitary thing we say, and making sure we know that they're going to talk to their boss about this, who just happens to be off somewhere right at that moment in time. And you know how much good it's done? 0. We have to do it. We have to do it. But it does 0 good. This is what it is. This is what it is. There's a ceasefire now. How many people were killed last night? 80?
100.
Yeah, 100, 105, 80. In the ceasefire. And I get notes every day, as does Chandra, from people inside who are so happy that the ceasefire is there, and then God bless them. Who the hell am I to be hopeless about something like this? When I get a note from a young woman who was my translator, who was a 22-year-old woman, she is a dentist, and she was helping me translate. And I've also done family therapy, and I was talking to a family in Gaza, and I was getting some details. And when I was done, I thought I had done a really, really good job. And I sat back in a reflective state, and I said to Islam, I said, wow, I wonder how they handle it. Think about that. She looked at me, and she says, you know, Dr. Kahler, I was under the rubble 3 times. They're all affected. It isn't one or the other, or the other, or the other, or the other. The scale and scope is one. Somebody asked me, I was in Aleppo during the bombing. I was in Aleppo just before the siege. I was in Haiti after the earthquake. This is beyond description. I'm going back in 2 weeks. This can't be described. Period. I could tell it all to you, but it's not up here. It's right here. And when it isn't, then I might as well be an 18-year-old taking notes from this movie and trying to record it. So I'm sorry I'm not more helpful, but will someone ask your final question? The gentleman in the back, you raise your hand, I cut you off.
Microphone right here. Could you maybe address just going into Gaza and the Israeli control of getting you in and how it's changed over the course of time, please?
Yeah.
So people understand that.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks, John. We have been to many other conflicts.
Chandra, a little bit louder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have been to many other conflict zones. I've been to Ukraine 6 times since the war began. I've been to Syria, where we went together. But none of that experience. We have seen bombs, mass casualty events, extreme human suffering. But none of that prepared us. What we witnessed as soon as we entered Gaza, it was like the entire van, we went in 2 vans, both vans, like inside people told, it was pin drop silence because it was such a shock to us. It was post-apocalyptic, that's what comes to your mind first. There was no, in Ukraine when you go in, you can see busload of women and children leaving out of the harm's way, but we didn't extend that courtesy to Palestinians. It's like a concentration camp there. People come up to the Rafah border. We were entering through Rafah. We flew to Cairo. We entered. Dark, bombs going off non-stop. People are circling in the dark. The people in donkey carts. People pushing elderly people in the wheelchairs. Totally like clueless where they are going. There's no place to sit down, lie down, eat, drink, no toilets. So it's, even for us who have seen many, many conflict zones, natural disasters, this is something we are not prepared to see that. And every single day we were there, it assaults every part of your sense, your existence. I can play a little video in the audio in the background to understand what it's like to be there. You can hear the first gunshot noise starts coming it coincides with the first call for prayer in the morning, 3:34, and you could set your clock by the time they stop the last bullet of the day, that will be midnight. So 21 hours a day, it's a constant firing of bullets, tank shelling. I'm not a ballistic expert, but after a week I realized when F-35s come in and there's a whistling noise, within half an hour they bring bodies splintered into pieces. When there is a tank shelling, you can see people coming with their body parts, like extremities gone. The most devastating wound we saw was the 2 types of drones there. One is very noisy. There's a Arabic word for it because it's purposefully made so noisy. It's there 24/7, so you can't sleep. It's like buzzing noise, so loud. Other drones are very silent. The silent drones are 2 types. One of them is called quadcopters. They come in with cameras and stuff, so they could be remotely operated. They're loaded with automatic rifles, like AR-15 types, but very specific bullets, because the drones they want to maximize, very small bullets, like almost an inch bullet. So when there's a quadcopter attack, you can see a pattern of injury. If 10 of us sitting around a dining table, there's a window, it comes through the window and it empties the magazine. So you can see 4 or 5 people with a headshot. 1/3 of them are on the right side of the body wound, others on the left side of the body. It depends which part of your body is facing the window. Other type of missile attack that comes from these silent drones, this is one of the banned weapons. They put a lot of these cubicles, like metal pellets, and 500, I don't know how many hundreds in it. And they monitor, and they see a group of people, they drop in the middle. One such time, the highest number of people from one such missile attack we need to operate was 32. And this foreign body just pierced your body, looks very innocent scar, like 2-3 millimeter wound. When you do a laparotomy, you open their belly, you see it's like a pothole, so much of intestines you need to remove because the blast wave. If it gone through the heart, patients come in dead. So many children, we put the chest tubes and they die in front of you because we can't do anything else. So every doctor, every healthcare worker who has been there, or local doctors and healthcare workers, you get the moral injury. You know what's the right thing to do, but you're not capable of doing it because of the circumstances there. Please.
Thank you. I think there are probably other people, I didn't quite realize, but we're supposed to come up here if you have a question. That'll make it easier for everybody to hear. And we'll try to keep the questions short and short answers so we give more people a chance to ask questions. I'm a nurse, and I have a question about what we can do going forward. We have, for 2 years, we've been showing films and having programs on Gaza and Palestine. We've been begging our representatives and senators to stop sending arms to Israel. But I don't know what else we can do. We've been trying to change the narrative in our own community, the narrative that's been so, been soaked with the Israeli narrative and not the Palestinian story, history. But I'm kind of wondering, it bothers me that the healthcare system has been so destroyed, and your point about you can rebuild buildings, but it takes time to train doctors. Could we find a way to have nursing groups and physician groups here in this country start to recruit, to build that cadre of healthcare workers that is going to be needed for a long time?
The short answer is it's a wonderful suggestion, and certainly the concept of international brigadas or international brigades going into health is wonderful, except for one thing. There's no one knows what the administrative state is going to be like after it's done, and so all the planning in the world is a mere exercise in MBA school until we figure out. Getting cadres that are willing to go is an excellent idea. Currently, the Israeli Kogat, which is the IDF's controlling group, permits us to go in or not go in. Everybody who goes in through them, through the World Health Organization. There's 2 other organizations that we won't talk about right now. But that being said, there will be maybe, 10 per group, something like that, 5 groups with 10, so 50 people can go in. The night before, the last time we were supposed to be deployed, I was denied entry. There's no reasons and there's no appeal. So it's a wonderful idea, and you would hope the international brigades could go in just to relieve these poor folks who have been on the wall for 2.5 years. But until the administrative state is determined and who is permitted with that, it's a pipe dream. Honestly. Yeah.
Thank you for coming, first of all. I think you were describing what's called flashbang grenades when you were talking about the pieces, which was widely used in Ukraine as well. So I've got 2 quick questions, 3 questions. One, we've been hearing about children having bullet wounds in their skull as if they were deliberately targeted. Can you verify this? My second question is, as I like to call him, Netanyahu, on ABC interview, claimed that for every, for the total casualties in Gaza, for every one civilian, there is one militant Hamas member being killed. And he claims this is incredible, no one else can claim this type of rate, and that he claims this is a success. So my question to you is, as doctors who witness casualties, can you tell me, based on your experience, how many of those patients that you've treated looked as if they were militant Hamas fighters?
You want to handle the headshot?
From all the numbers of people that you've witnessed and treated.
I have a picture of a 14-year-old here in my phone who was sniped. The entry wound was in the right jaw, and the exit wound on the left side mandible, and everything inside the mouth was completely gone. And we intubated this child just to protect his airway. He couldn't even swallow his own spit. He was drowning. But 2 days later, we were evacuated because they double-tapped a building just across the street from Nasser, and John has decided to pull us out. I don't want to make any comment about any politician making statement. The truth speaks for itself.
50% of the accounted for deaths are women and children under 16 years of age. Doesn't mean a woman can't be a warrior. But 50% of deaths are women. But let me say one thing about being Hamas terrorists or Hamas. If I were to tell you that during the Daley years, someone came into Chicago and bombed a building, and 75% of those residents in that building were Democrats, would that be a problem to you? Not you personally, or would that be a problem that was a correct number and that's what happened? Hamas has run Gaza for 17 years. There isn't another party to be affiliated with. They have a military wing and a political wing. If you kill people in a one-party state, you're going to kill the people who are involved in that party. Period. It makes no sense. It means nothing. Zero. So that would be all I'd have to say to Mr. Nedman.
But are they identifiable, is my question.
How do you identify somebody who can pull a trigger? You can't. They're under 60. They're women and children under 16 years old. None were ever in uniform, if that's what you're asking.
Yet the IDF claims that Hamas uses civilians as human shields.
And we know who does use civilians as human shields, which is the IDF when they're going through the city with them in the front of the car.
Nevertheless, it doesn't stop them from...
It doesn't. They're 100% correct. Thank you for going.
Good evening. I acknowledge you wholeheartedly for the service that you've provided. Two unrelated questions, unrelated to each other. The first is, are there organizations that you recommend where donations be made that are the ones most likely to have the aid actually make a difference in terms of providing medical care? That's my first question. And then the second one is, where do you go in your mind to keep, in your heart, to keep yourself going when, in the face of what you said earlier about feeling like it makes absolutely zero difference to speak out?
Keep your money in your pocket with regards to contributing to medical groups right now, unless you're going to give one to somebody that you know is getting food in. It's not money. There's plenty of money outside of Gaza. It's access. All access. So keep your money in your pocket for that, but get your checkbook out and go to the Palestinian Student Scholarship Fund and contribute to it. In addition to the medical, all infrastructure has been destroyed, be it medical, which I'm personally involved with, of course, be it educational, be it public health, be it whatever. I'm supporting 7 public health, PhD public health students who are either in the diaspora or in Gaza, because all of the professionals have been killed, or not all. The professionals who have been killed or incarcerated are that generation that will be useful when whatever the administrative state is that. So that's why they're killed. That's what is happening. And so the people that you want to be available are the Palestinians who will be professionals in the various forms of infrastructure that have been destroyed, and the best one right now is public health, which is soap and water has cured many, many, many more people than ampicillin ever has. So I would look for organization supporting education.
Or you can give it to MedGlobal too. Yes, a co-founder, yeah. So what was your second question?
The second question was, where do you go in your mind and your heart to keep going in the face of what you've seen and in the face of the gaslighting that is taking place in the street?
When we go, we always think, when we prepare so much supplies, there's a little bit of excitement too. We travel, we're going to unknown territory, there is a danger. There's a suffering, you get experienced people tell you what to expect, what not. But time and again, I've taken like 17 suitcases, 50-pound bags of supplies and stuff like that. We've done so many surgeries. We have ground staff there. So we think like, we have contributed something. But over time you realize the one thing that mattered to them is not the money or supplies you bring or the surgeries you do. That you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be with them. That matters the most to them. For them, the world is limited to the little piece of land which is being bombed, and the existence is seen as a resistance. So for the people to see somebody from far and away coming there, they show their hospitality, unbelievable. We were getting 1 meal a day when we were in Gaza. That's thanks to World Central Kitchen. We used to split between me and Dr. Tahir and Nareen. They used to give us 3 meals for 3 of us. We used to send 2 out because a 300-bed hospital with 900 patients plus over 2,000 people around the hospital, in and around. So you couldn't walk without stepping over somebody. And they're all in the same situation like you, those 3 weeks. They don't have food. At least we had a room where we could keep our things locked. For them, they lost their homes, their family members. Like John was telling earlier, they come back to the work next day morning and they say, yesterday my brother was killed. My sister-in-law was killed. Even Raja, her sister had shrapnel, and I got a call, Chandra, take a look at her CAT scan and so on. These people come to work every single day. I work with nurses who have been wounded, operated. They come to the work still with a hip lock in their hand. They're still in the hospital gown. They come back to look after other people. So that's what keeps us going. Just being there matters to them the most. That gives them the hope, the basic, that humanity, that makes them feel like they're human beings. Again, one more thing I want to say, when people say, they're all dehumanized. These are people who are under constant assault, both physically and mentally. They cry, they laugh, they bleed, they die, they mourn, they have ambitions. They are 100% human beings. The victims are not dehumanized. It's the perpetrators, they dehumanize themselves. It is by the indoctrination from childhood, by a system that's financially supported, and they bring them up dehumanized. Because as a human being, you can't kill another human being. That person is a human being. The one who is killing is the one who is dehumanized. We have a duty to rehumanize them. We need to stop their indoctrination. We are funding this. Every one of us here is funding this, our tax dollars. So what's happening in Gaza is the future. If you don't do anything, that's the future of our kids and our kids' kids and the future. This is how it's going to be. I don't see this as a political problem or a religious problem or a land problem. This is a centuries-old business model. A business model that thrives on genocide, extraction, occupation. In Sudan, the same thing. Doesn't matter who is supporting all that stuff from UAE. The blacks are killing blacks. Muslims are killing Muslims. Look at Ukraine, Russia. White people are killing white people. Eastern Orthodox Christians killing Eastern Orthodox Christians. Gaza, Palestinian Arabs. Without the complicity of fellow Arabs, they wouldn't be killed like this. So, if we are going to divide ourselves into the divisions of religion, race, color, then we are losing the bigger issue here. The bigger issue is this is the most profiteering, time-proven business model. We need to take the war profit out. We have to hold our elected representatives accountable because we are paying taxation without representation today.
It's a little bit different for me. I'm an old man, and I have 12 grandchildren. And I never thought that I would be leaving this world in this way. This has been 2 years that have completely changed 76 years worth of thinking around. I have to show up. Because at some point in the future, wherever the future was, I just was returned from Dhaka. When I was at Dhaka the last time, it was a good history lesson. It was a very good history lesson. This was the Ghost of Christmas Future this time. And so I have to show up. There are no alternatives. I need whoever's left in my mind to say, my grandfather was there, he stood up during whatever time this is reflecting on. So that's the only way I can.
Yes. When Dr. Kahler mentioned the hypothetical of the daily administration, etc., it's something I wrote too because it's very hard to get people to understand a situation like this. So when I was trying to explain to people how Israel became created, I said, okay, listen, so you live in a state of life. Everybody's happy here. Everybody's doing fine. Everybody owns their home and goes to the stores. And then you're sitting there watching the news and they say, well, today Congress passed and the president signed this partition plan. 56% of Illinois will now be given to the Moravians. Huh? And you think to yourself, wait a minute. I own it. I bought it. I built this house. You better not come from my house. I mean, he can't. Where does this government get off handing away my house? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what happened in 1947. The United Nations directed the 1947 partition plan giving Palestine, which was 92% Palestinians up until the 1900s started, and the Jews were poured in intentionally to overpopulate the Jewish population here. 92% of them, of that Palestinian territory and homes is owned by Palestinians. The only way the Israelis could take it away is to either come in with a lot of money and pay everyone.
I just want to make sure you get to your question. What is your question?
I'm just telling you, this is why I want it. This is Israel, unfortunately. And I've written thousands of documents trying to explain all this.
So let me, I know we've got to run into 9. That we look at the
Go ahead for a little bit, yeah.
Let me end on what I will consider an up note, although it's not a positive. Towards the end of the 3/4 into the movie, they mentioned showed pictures of Dr. Hassan Abu Safir. He's a friend. He works for McGovern, but he's a friend. And he is, I'm blessed to say that there's very few people in the world who've actually had the ability to meet a true hero. The word is now thrown out every time Caleb Williams hits a touchdown from over 20 yards. Hussam is a true hero. Heroism has two parts to it. It has a humility and it has a bravery. He exhibits both of those. What you saw just alluded to, but they didn't mention, was that he alone kept Kamal Adwan Hospital open 3 times against Israeli attack. The first time in December 2023, he did it single-handedly. And if you haven't read his op-ed piece in the New York Times, I would pull it up. Just pull Hussam Abu Safia op-ed, New York Times. It's masterful. He did it twice more, and what he did then was he committed the cardinal sin. They could have killed him easily in Kamal Adwan Hospital. They arrested him. He hasn't been talked to since December, into December, right? Into December. So now he's been supposedly lost 20 kilograms. They just call him something, and they so they can keep him without charge. They won't kill him. He won't get out alive, but they won't kill him. He's the humblest man. He had 2 passports. He could have been gone October the 10th. He could have been out of there. His family could have been gone. They're all there. He was detained, released. Then his son was killed in the courtyard of the hospital on the way back. And what you saw was the ceremony of his burying his own son the next day. They then shot him. They then blew up the hospital. And then in December 2024, you saw this iconic picture of him walking up a hill of the detritus from the destruction to the tank that just had destroyed the hospital. Humble, brave, unassuming. Dr. Abu Safia was put up and was for the Nobel Peace Prize this year, and he and all the other Palestinian medics should have won it. That being said, they just alluded to it. I wish they would have spent more time. There will be more books and movies about him, and if they're available, please see them. He's a hero in our time.
Superheroes wear scrubs, not capes.
Hero what?
They wear scrubs.
Hero in scrubs, yes. Thank you.
Can I play an audio so you will get a feel of how it was to be in Gaza at the time? We got used to that. We managed to have a conversation.
That's from inside the hospital.
We are in our room within the hospital. So this is the night. I remember that one time I was operating. Suddenly there was such a loud bang and the shock waves. Suddenly we found everybody in the operating room was on the floor. Even the patient was slid out of the operating room table. I was a little bit embarrassed. I was screaming like a little girl. Laughed about it later now, but at the time I thought that's it, we are done. Then we stood up, scrubbed, we finished the surgery. Then we realized they bombed the building just across the hospital. Tanks were there. And John has decided to get us out the next day morning. And this is the night we were packing. And as you could hear, that bullet noises, tank shelling, drones. You come out with some PTSD. So, first time I was in my home, I just turned on the exhaust in the restroom. And once it started making the noise, I jumped and turned it off because I thought there's a drone in my house in Chicago. So, could you imagine that's for us for 3 weeks.
That was before Trump, by the way.
Yeah,
There may be a drone in his house now, but
these people are living through this without proper food, proper sanitation. They're living in tents. Winter is coming. Summer was so hot it burns through the kids' skin and stuff. No schools. We sent one iPad for one of the anesthesiologists I used to work with. He has 6 little kids. And he couldn't go inside, unfortunately. He was asking for iPad so he could teach his kids something. His phone is broke, the screen, so he couldn't see anything. I hope this time you could take it.
Yeah, right. I would also say, and then it's at 9, I realize that. I would also say that the woman I told you about, Islam, that was my translator, we filmed a movie of her, and it's about to be released. It's an 8-minute documentary. She's also a poet, God bless her. It's an 8-minute documentary that's about to be released in at the St. Louis International Film Fair in a couple of weeks. I will make sure I get it to Ron when I'm done the clip to it. He can put it on whatever website you all have. She did send me a note a week ago saying she just finished her certificate in humanitarian affairs from Al-Quds Hospital, done under bombing via remote learning. And she was so happy that she had just finished. This is what they do. I mean, you know, it's beyond belief. So, anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You sent that to your wife, right? You sent that to your wife.
You can put a donation on the back table if you would like to contribute. So thank you for coming, and please share this with your family, your friends, your neighbors. Let them know about this and discuss it. That's what we're all about. Thank you.